Getting back into the World English Bible, chapter 16 of Genesis. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bore him no children. She had a servant, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "See now, Yahweh has restrained me from bearing. Please go in to my servant. It may be that I will obtain children by her." Abram listened to the voice of Sarai. Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, after Abram had lived 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to Abram, her husband, to be his wife. What? Right, because guys can have multiple wives, but wives can't have multiple. Okay. He went into Hagar, and she conceived. When she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. Sarai said to Abram, "This wrong is your fault. I gave my servant into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, she despised me. May Yahweh judge between me and you." What? She had a servant, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. "See now, Yahweh has restrained me from bearing. Please go into my servant, slave. It may be that I will obtain children by her." So, forced childbearing for another person. Abraham listened. Abraham's wife took Hagar the Egyptian, her servant, after Abraham lived 10 years, gave her to Abram, her husband, to be his wife. He went into her, and she conceived. When she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. She hated her mistress for subjecting her to this. I don't think she was ever on board with the plan. Sarai said to Abram, "This wrong is your fault," which it's not. It's yours, woman, you fucking maniac. "I gave my servant into your bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, she despised me." How is that his fault? You delivered your slave to your husband for this purpose. May Yahweh judge between me and you. Well, I hope he judges you guilty. But Abram said to Sarai, "Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her whatever is good in your eyes." Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her face. So she punishes her for doing what she was supposed to do as part of this plan. She got impregnated by her husband, which is what Sarai wanted, and for that she gets fucking harshly beaten until she runs away. Fuck. Yahweh's angel found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. He said, "Hagar, Sarai's servant, where did you come from? Where are you going?" She said, "I am fleeing from the face of my mistress Sarai." Yahweh's angel said to her, "Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hands." Submit yourself to the abuse, said the angel of the Lord. What the fuck? Yahweh's angel said to her, "I will greatly multiply your offspring, that they will not be counted for multitude." Yahweh's angel said to her, "Behold, you are with child, and will bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh has heard your affliction. He will be like a wild donkey among men. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. He will live opposed to all of his brothers. I will greatly multiply your offspring, that they will not be counted for multitude." You're gonna have all the babies that we already promised that other guy. Especially, you're gonna have a donkey man. She called the name of Yahweh who spoke to her, "You are a God who sees." For she said, "Have I even stayed alive after seeing him?" Therefore the well was called Bir Lahai Roy. Bir Lahai Roy means well of the one who lives and sees me. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar bore a son for Abram. Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. Yikes. Yikes. Return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hands for forcing you to get pregnant and beating you. No, keep running. Get the coat hanger and keep fucking running. Yikes. What the fuck? This is God? This is the good guy? What? What are we supposed to learn positively from this? This is all awful. This is in the Bible. This is the one true God. It has to be this specific God. What the fuck? Well, let's switch over to the King James Version, see if it's any better. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, "Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her." And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And like, what I understand of husbands and wives so far is it's just people who are banging. You can have multiple wives. You can't have multiple husbands. That was a plot point when they went to the Pharaoh. So it's sexist and it's arbitrary. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So just to be clear, that's rape. Reading about rape in the Bible. And it's supposed to be a good thing. This is the rape that God promised Abram. This is the children he was promised, so whatever horrible means he uses to obtain his ends are totally justified, because that's how God works. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom, and when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thine hand, do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. And the angel of the Lord found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence camest thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Return to thy mistress, and submit thyself under her hands. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will multiply thy seed exceedingly, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man, his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me. For she said, Have I also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer-lahai-roi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called his son's name, which Hagar bare, Ishmael. And Abram was 66 years old when Hagar bare Ishmael to Abram. Yep, same twisted shit, just slightly different wording, phrasing. Terrible chapter. Really bad. The whole premise is bad. What they do is bad. What God does is bad. The angel is bad. Everyone is bad. It's a bad chapter. So thanks for watching chapter 16. Next time we'll see what horrible things chapter 17 has in store for us.